I have had the opportunity to play the Heroes of Storm Technical Alpha for about a month and a half, and I feel I'm ready to give my overall thoughts about the game, and things I hope will be implemented by the time this game's full release. Keep in mind this is my own general opinions, and you may disagree, but if you're watching this video for my opinions to begin with, there's no real complaining if you disagree. Kinda flip the coin there. First off, the game time. Usually takes about 15-20 minutes. They might go longer if the match is really close, but that's rare. I like the feeling of quick progression in the heroes. You're not bogged down by the usual 10 minutes of farming and creep dancing, rare battles. This is skipped by the team experience and the objectives on each map. It has you focus more on the objectives than it is actual farming, and you spend less and less time as the game progresses in lanes as other mechanics work to push for you. This leads to wins feeling way more rewarding and sometimes even more dominating, and losses don't really bother you as much. I felt less saddened by a match because I knew I'd be able to jump in and play again instantly than it is for a league match taking 25-30 minutes just to get to the halfway point sometimes. So that time dedication is less painful when I look at a 10 to 15 minute game opposed to a 30-45 minute. Second is the mercenary system. I love this system so much. Jungle has more impact than any other game I have played, and teamwork is needed to get most of the bosses in the jungle under your control. You can go into the jungle, attack enemy creep camp, and then steal it, and they become part of your own team, and it's really great to use for pushing and distractions. Having the ability to walk behind enemy lines, steal a jungle camp, and then walk away is probably my favorite thing. Enemies are just wandering about lanes, and all of a sudden, boom, their jungle camps are all under your control, and now they have to stop what they're doing and then go back and take the camps. It's really awesome. Now for the rougher areas of the game. The talent system is the biggie. This makes gameplay more varied for each hero. The talents can dramatically change the way the hero plays and feels. For example, Nova has a talent that reduces attack speed so much that you go from a normal ranged carry to a stealth poker, weaving in and out of lanes to do large amounts of burst damage, and then using stealth to scoot away, instead of the traditional sit there and fire auto attacks. The downside to this is that there's no real way for counterplay. The reason is you cannot repick any skills and you are stuck with what you choose. Sometimes a talent works early game, then becomes useless due to an opponent's build set. This is incredibly obvious if you're playing a character that is a ranged mage against a bunch of tanks, and all your skills are set up to get rid of, say, assassins, which there might not be any on the team. You really don't have a choice to rearrange yourself to kind of combat what forces have changed over time, and instead you're building on the fly or having to plan way in advance to points where sometimes it's a little impossible to tell what's going on. A way to fix this is after level 20, when you get your final talent, every additional level going upwards will give you one talent repick, up to 3. This lets you choose some of your early games, level 1, 5, even up to level 10, choose your ultimate, choose your skills to kind of best combat the current situation. Because maybe sometimes players will choose, say, Bribe to get jungle camps early, but late game that becomes a useless skill. So getting rid of that and being able to replace it with, say, another damage dealing ability, another healing ability, another defensive ability would be extremely helpful, opposed to a skill that's not going to do you any good once the game really kind of revs up to that end game. Along these lines, there needs to be an enemy unit UI, allowing you to quickly see health and mana totals along with the talents the enemy has. I have heard arguments that this is an unfair advantage to see enemy talents, but it's actually public knowledge inside the scoreboard. There just needs to be a UI that lets you see it quickly so you can act on the fly depending on what you see coming towards you. This is a huge thing, since the only way to see enemy talents is looking at the massive scoreboard and clicking on an alternate UI button to actually see it, changing the normal totals to the talent system where you have to individually hover over them and read what the enemy has chosen. So there needs to be a better system to see enemy totals and enemy talents. Also, we need combat breakdown when you die. If you have no idea what's killing you, you won't be able to quickly change the way to play to counteract that. Most games you can actually see what killed you, where the majority of your damage is, and what type of damage is being dealt to you. Since there's no real damage types in this game, the majority comes from the champions, from the heroes themselves. So you need to know on the fly which heroes you need to avoid. As the game progresses, yeah, you usually can pick that up, but being able to see where the majority of the damage comes from right away or even after a death is crucial. As for the maps and game types, they are nice and varied, but some are way more enjoyable to play than others. My favorites being the Dragonshine and the Curse game mode. I like that I have to choose between actual objectives or pushing the lane. Sometimes pushing the lane may be the right decision at the time, but overall, the objectives are what matter, and in some cases can win a game from very, very far disadvantages or like 3 levels below. So having objectives that are very meaningful and team coordination that can actually win losing matches is really great. I dislike maps like the Haunted Mine and the Garden game mode, where the team usually has to split up to collect individual items instead of being able to take static objects. The reason for this is because a lot of people have this mindset that they have to split up in groups, and even myself has done that a few times where we split up to try to cover as much ground as possible instead of, being a little bit more coordinated. Everybody just kind of does their own Rambo thing, and that's very, very bad and kind of needs some tweaks on balancing between monster damage and heroes and a lot of complicated stuff. But those game modes are less enjoyable, and a lot of the community, along with myself, want to see some changes to it to make it a little bit more enjoyable. Along that lines, we're going to get a new game mode, the Desert map, that was introduced at BlizzCon this year, and this was the real reason I wanted to get into Heroes of the Storm. After playing this on the show floor multiple times, this is probably my favorite map, even playing all the other ones that are currently in the alpha. So I can't wait this one's added because my enjoyability factor will go up tenfold. My big gripe comes with the leveling system for heroes. I hate how you have to unlock your skills over time instead of them all being granted to you once you buy that hero. This takes away any fun out of trying new heroes or picking heroes that complement a team. This encourages team comps based only on the heroes you have leveled past level 4 and not what works well with other players or what teams are usually needed. Some said that this is just me whining about instant gratification, but in fact this is a balanced necessity. You or any other player might want to play a new hero they just purchased or unlocked, but because of that, you are heavily handicapped. If you compare the damage output of a hero before and after you unlock all the talents, it's a huge damage spike. I have seen so many games where you can tell which enemy player is using a new hero just by how they play. You can pick them off faster or even just ignore them altogether just by their basic talent composition, opposed to the variations and even higher damage of a hero. Some of them don't even get their powerful spells until you get level 4. If your game relies on no items and this talent system to actually, progress a character from 1 to level 20, you can't block off the power to newer players. This just breaks most of the mechanics of the game right out the gate and force players to essentially stick to one hero instead of alternating to many heroes that might be needed, say in a draft mode, which they want to add later on. That being said, I like the cosmetic upgrade you earn through leveling a hero. It rewards practice with heroes without gating them away from parts of the game. I enjoy playing a hero to unlock alternate mounts and hero colors. Hell, I love getting the chance to unlock the Master Skin, even though they are super pricey. Leveling a hero should be cosmetic only, letting the player have the full hero at level 1, but granting bonuses and colors and maybe even more cosmetic effects or particle effects as you grow in skill. Finally, there needs to be a pre-game lobby or a separate game type that allows you to coordinate before you enter a match. I have been in far too many matches where you've had too many of one hero type. I've had a 4 support, 1 tank build. I've had a 5 tank build. I've had 5 ranged build. I've had 3 specialists, 2 supports. I've had every combination. You could be winning early game fights, mid game fights, and objectives, but late game, when everybody's at their highest potential, no matter how you've built your team and how you have done in the early game, late game matters because of how everything balances out. Supports will always be supports, tacticians will always be tacticians, and if there's too many of them, you can very well feel the balance change. Adding an option to allow talk between players just for the more experienced team groups would be very, very, very good thing. I just want to make sure I don't get screwed by the Battle.net dice and get thrown into matches that I can't win just because of team comps. So enough of my ranting. Is Heroes of the Storm worth your time in its current state? Hell yeah it is! The heroes are amazing to play, but need some time and balancing tweaks. The game modes are unique and tons of fun to play with friends, and the fact that it's based off Blizzard IPs makes the experience even more enjoyable, playing your favorite hero or villain from Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo, and soon to be Overwatch. If you get a chance to get a hold of one of these closed beta keys in the future, give it a shot. It doesn't hurt any way, shape, or form to give it a try. Entry is a little bit steep with the talent system, and buying new heroes can be really expensive if you're starting out, but the system of the rotating heroes is great, as well as there's a lot of variety to see. Oh, and there's water elementals. Kinda tops my list of favorite unit type in any MOBA so far. In the end, if you get the chance, play Heroes of the Storm. Give it a shot. Play with friends. Well, if they get a beta key as well. And just experience the different game modes and what Blizzard's trying to do to vary the MOBA genre, because they're doing an excellent job spicing up the formula.